I have a 63 Comet, which works for the Falcons, early Falcons, Comets, maybe later, I'm not sure. How to do a brake conversion from the single manual to a dual power assist. And as you know, there's very little room between the firewall and the support bracket that goes to the shock tower. So supposedly, and we're going to find out, this is going to fit in there pretty good because how short it is. The double is a split single barrel, if you want to say. So that's how they get the double. And apparently it's uses a 3/16 brake lines. And here are all the things that, oh, by the way, there's a link below on how I got this idea, and the credit to the person that put up the web page on how to do the conversion step by step. I'm going to pretty much follow that. We'll see what happens. So this is out of a 90 Geo Metro. There's various years on which you can get this from. The link below will show you that. And the nice thing is it uses a 3/16. By the way, I had to learn something about brake lines. So a 3/16 brake line uses a 3/8 24 connectors on them. So what I did is I bought a few of these here from Amazon. These are 6 inches. I'm waiting for an 8-inch one to come in, because what they want you to do is for this top port here is take a 8-inch brake line and wrap it around and come back over to this side here. Also, for the rear brakes, in order to maintain a good pedal, they ask to use a 10-pound pressure regulator on the rear brakes. And I got this, you can get this from Amazon. I got this from Summit Racing. Okay, that's what this is right here. It comes with a 1/8-inch pipe thread, and they give you these adapters right here that you screw in to go from 1/8-inch pipe to your 3/8 24 brake line connector. And this I'll have this going to the rear brakes. It's to maintain a little pressure on the back, supposedly, from what I read, so that your pedal travel isn't as great. So we're going to do that. Also, what they want us to do in the instructions was, when you take this top port and take your 8-inch tube and wrap it around the bottom and come back out to the front, they use a connector, right? A connector, a female-to-female connector. And what I'm going to do to maintain the brake light pressure switch, instead of going through the trouble and putting a brake light switch by the pedal, I'm going to keep the pressure switch. And instead of using that coupler, okay, I'm going to use this T. And this T, okay, is from All Star, and Amazon sells it and Summit sells it. It gives you your brake line coupling on each side, and on top it gives you the 1/8-inch pipe thread, which the brake light pressure switch will screw into. All right, and what threw me is when they say 3/16, okay, to 1/8-inch national pipe thread. Well, it's 3/16 brake line. I think I even bought one once and returned it because I said, oh, it's 3/16. I don't want 3/16. I don't know why they just don't put down maybe a 3/8 24 thread or something. But anyway, that's what that's for. So this is the parts, and we're going to do this project and see how this is going to go. This may be a little hard to see, but here's the single that I'm going to be replacing. Okay, and as you can see, it's a pretty tight fit. So I'm going to have to take some measurements. Let's check this out. So this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to try to give us step-by-step instructions as I put this project together. By the way, for about, I think it was about 13 bucks, I bought this pipe bender. It's good to have. It does 3 sizes. It does, what does it do? Like 3/16, 1/8-inch, and 1/4-inch, I believe. It has 3 sizes so you can get a nice bend on there without kinking it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to dismantle the original one and make a template. I made a template already for this, and we're going to see. All right. I disconnected the brake lines, and I went inside the car, and I disconnected the pedal from the plunger rod, lack of better words. And what's cool is this hole for this fork connector here is perfect. So there's one thing that fits nicely. All right. Far the hardest thing is knocking this pin out that holds the brake pedal on in the fork.
It had rust on it.
It had rust on it. So it was hard to get under the dash up there. Had to move some gauges and things. But that was a pain. See, way up in there is where the pin goes through. Right there. It's a little hard to see. So I finally got the brake pedal off. Because what you have to do is you got to drill a new hole in the brake pedal for the master cylinder pin, because it's in a different angle. Alrighty, and now what I'm going to do is I made a template like this. Whoops. And sorry, it's hard to hold a hand, but they use the top screws, and then I have to put 2 screws in on the bottom and cut this out bigger. All right. So I marked it up. I used liquid paper, whiteout, so that I could see it. I drilled, sorry for the jiggling, I drilled my hole right here. The other hole is actually going through this little seal, so I only needed to drill 1 hole. And I got to now cut this out. And it's a little hard to get in here. I'm going to attempt to use a roto-zip and see if I can cut that out. Okay, we cut the hole. It's really ragged. I had a hard time cutting it. I didn't have probably the right tool. I used a Sawzall because a roto-zip wouldn't do it with the end mill that we were using to try to open it. But the holes are in, and the hole is big. And on the bottom, I need to put some spacers because the top of the booster does hit these mounting bolts, which you have to keep in because it's for the brake pedal mount. So on the bottom side of the booster bolts, we're going to space it out a little bit. So we put the pedal temporarily back in, and we marked up the new hole, like the instructions say, which is about an inch or 3/4.
That looks about right.
And so the instructions say 7/16, but it's the pin that's is actually 390, huh?
Yeah,
about
it's 390. It's 2564.
2564. So we had a 390 drill, and it fits very nice. It's not jiggly. So that's the pin that'll go into the push fork. There you go. So the booster's in and mounted, and I temporarily put the master on just to see where my brake lines are going to be. Okay, this line here, which is pretty darn close already, goes to this port, which is the front. That's the right front. And this one right here comes from the rear of the car, and it's going to go right here. Then I need to get this line, which is the driver's front, into this port here, and that's where they want you to put the 8-inch in and kind of come up with an idea to wrap it around and connect this and use the T connector. So I have my 1/8-inch pipe thread for the brake light switch. So there we go. This is how I fitted the brake lines. This is the 8-inch one that I actually used to go up towards the firewall, and the pressure gauge, the Willwood pressure gauge, sits up here, and then the back brake line screws right into it. This one here
the front right brake. We bent it to fit this, no problem, as you'll see. This is the 6-inch tube that we made to come around, and it screws in with this coupler here for the brake switch, pressure switch, and then the other side goes straight in to the driver's side front brake. Now we're going to bleed the master. Okay, the project is done. The brake line's hooked in nicely. Don't mind this. This is for the vacuum. I needed an elbow, and this is all I had in the shop. Doesn't look pretty, but I could probably find another one. So the front brake line went in, no problem. This is the passenger side front that we got in there. This one here, which is the rear brake, okay, it comes up. Gonna go this way. See if we can go this way. It comes up right there and goes into that check valve, and then the rear brake line, which you see, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold this here in one hand, is right here. So this is all, this keeps the 10 pounds in the back. So you have pedal, and then what I did was, coming in around over here, let's see if we can see that. The one going up goes to the driver's side, and I used the 8-inch line. All right, let me come around here. Oh, and by the way, I didn't have to take the hood off to do this. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to try to come down right there, and you can see I used the 8-inch line, and sorry, it's hard to see. And it's into that, it's into, there we go. Sorry about that. It's into the T. The 8-inch line comes around. It goes into the T adapter, so I could put my brake pressure switch on, and then it connects right there to the other, to the front brake right there. This right there goes to the driver's side front, and then there, this one here is the one that I bent to come around to go into the top. Just bled all the brakes, took it for a spin, and it works great. What an improvement. Underneath, as you can see, this was the pin above there. This was the pin up there that I had to knock out. That was a bitch because of the, I used a long drift, if you want to call it a punch, so I can get clearance to swing my hammer to knock it out. Took the pedal off, as we showed, drilled the new hole right there, drilled the new hole, and the fork fit perfectly from the plunger here, the push rod, and everything fit perfect. It was about 1 inch lower than the original one. Didn't even have to adjust this, the length of the Geo Metro. Didn't have to adjust that. It fit perfectly. So there you go.